Hey guys, and welcome to July 18th. Today's deals on, of course, the Steam Summer Sale. This one has a fairly interesting mix, actually. Although I personally have played or own most of them, I'm pretty sure some of you are going to be quite excited about a couple of them at the very least. So, without further ado, let's get on with it. First of all, Stalker. There's an actual pretty good deal at the moment. You can buy the entire Stalker bundle. That's Call of Propriet, that is Clear Sky, and finally Shadow of Chernobyl for 75% off. That brings it to £5.19. Or, alternatively, you can buy each game individually. Of course, be warned that you're actually going to be paying a bit more. Like this, it's about £2 more expensive. So what you want to do here is probably get the entire bundle, unless you've already got probably the most expensive one, which would be either Call or Shadow. Either way, these are very interesting games. They're basically first person, so you can almost expect them to be first person shooters from the photos, but let me assure you this is not the case. They have a deep storyline within them. They're also quite beautiful, and there are some mods available to increase the graphical fidelity somewhat, as well as the textures and so on. Be warned, however, these are not games that you can just simply dive in and out of. One of the reasons I personally have not played them is quite simply because well, I have played them, just not all the way through to completion, is simply because of just how in depth and long they are. They really require you to just kind of bury your head in them, and I haven't really had time since I've bought them, which is kind of a crying shame, actually. I'd highly recommend them, especially if you're into this kind of genre. They are action in genre only, but they have a lot more depth to them. And if you're looking for a deep, atmospheric, first-person kind of adventure that is not exactly bright and cheerful, to be honest with you, then you probably could be doing a lot worse than this. And for the price, even if you dislike it, which I doubt, but even if you do dislike it, you're not going to be breaking the bank, really, for this price at all. So definitely would recommend that one. I'm pretty sure you're all shocked about this one, but there's of course another indie bundle, this time 7. Once again, 75% off, and once again, £6.99. There's a couple of good ones actually in this, including Vessel, Cube, and Dungeons of Dreadmore, all of which are pretty damn good games and will probably merit purchasing. Dungeons of Dreadmore, I believe Amata covered in a first impressions review, if I remember correctly, and I believe she quite liked it. And also, I believe we covered another one, I'm unsure which one it is, it might have been Vessel, that also is apparently a fairly good game. All of them score well, and this is a case, once again, where if you are interested in any of the games, particularly Vessel or Cube, then you might as well just buy the entire pack. I'd probably recommend this pack quite well. I personally much prefer it to yesterday's offering, which I didn't really like the Humble games yesterday. I wasn't saying they're bad, they just weren't to my taste. This time, however, it's pretty damn good. There's a nice mix of variety of them. Some of them, such as Avedon, the Black Fortress, aren't quite so critically acclaimed, but they're not bad. And once again, it's certainly a nice mix. You've got some action in there, as well as, of course, some RPGs and everything else you could want in between. So go ahead and check that one out. Not a bad purchase at all. Speaking of not a bad purchase at all, we are brought along to a fairly classic PC game, Thief. I'm pretty sure most of you might have heard of this one, although to say that Thief 1 is old is a bit of an understatement. It was released in sometime, I believe, 99, 98, I'm not 100%. Anyway, it's fairly old, and you can buy the entire collection now. That is Thief 1, which would be Thief Gold, Thief 2, The Metal Age, and finally Thief, Deadly Shadows. You can buy them all for 75% off for the entire pack, which is £4.74, or alternatively you can of course buy each game individually. Doing so, however, costs you 48p more, which is not a particularly high amount. I have heard many good things from many different people about Thief. Apparently the original Thief is probably going to serve you the best, although it's also the oldest. So which one you want to go for is probably up to you, but for the price it might just be worth getting all of them. All of them are fairly well received on Metacritic. Once again, Thief 1 is probably genuinely the better acclaimed game. On the other hand, it's also a lot older. So whether you can kind of stand the PlayStation 1, which is basically era graphics, is up to you. However, even Thief 2 was released in 2000, I believe, a couple of years later. Deadly Shadows, I believe, was released on, the Xbox, and a few people, if I remember correctly, kind of ran it down because they said that they simplified it. I'm not 100% on that though. I never actually tried out the third game. So once again, if you want to pick it up, there's not a bad price for the collection whatsoever. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. £4.74. It's definitely a piece of gaming history. So anyway, moving on. Next up is Age of Empires Online Summer Sale Bundle. This is not the game, as the game is actually free to play. However, this does give you the Pen of Horodos, however you pronounce it, extra storage, exotic vanity gear, and heroic aid consumables, and a few other bits and pieces. Whether you want to get this one is up to you. It's highly dependent on if you're a big fan of the game. Once again, this does not give you the game, this is just DLC. It's not amazing DLC as far as I can see. I haven't played the game personally, so you'll have to figure that one out for yourselves. It's kind of debatable. It's 75% off, £1.74. It's not a terrible price. If you're a fan of the game, I suppose, you know, you're not really going to be breaking the bank to check it out. So up to you on that one. I figure that one kind of speaks for itself. Super Meat Boy is what we're going to be talking about next. That's 75% off. That's £2.99. Let me assure you, this game can turn a saint to rage within a few minutes, generally speaking. Although it's incredibly addictive. I've only played it a little bit. Amata actually owns it as I believe she got it as part of the indie bundle, which was available from a different website, the one where you pay whatever you want. I can't remember the name of it offhand. My brain has suddenly gone complete to go. However, this game is an interesting game indeed. It basically, you are literally playing as a piece of meat, and you are sole purpose is to basically get around various obstacles and not die, and you will die repeatedly. However, this game has a certain charm to it. There's actually really good music and good animation. It's one of those games where it's just one more go. However, bear in mind, if you have angina or another kind of condition that stress doesn't really, go along with, you might not want to buy this one, as, I have seen people get really angry on this game. Some of the levels go from downright unfair to just completely and utterly insanely unfair. However, there are always solutions, and if you die, it is your fault. It's not because of the controls, and it's not because of, poor design of the game. It's just that the game in some areas is quite damn difficult, but that's the point. You are supposed to figure out the best way to get around it, and there's nothing more frustrating to many people than when you die on the final thing. In fact, Marta and I are considering putting together some kind of competition between ourselves on this one, see who can get the furthest on a certain amount of goes. I have a feeling there will be some choice words, so we'll probably have to put a warning label on that video for the younger viewers of ours. Anyway, once again, I would definitely recommend this one. £2.99. It's not a bad price at all. It has been slightly cheaper on some indie bundles, if you count the entire bundle, obviously, and the value of that game. But for this, if you're just interested in it, or you keep hearing about it, the music, as I've said, is pretty phenomenal as well. The storyline's not exactly anything special, but who the hell cares? I definitely recommend checking this one out. For the price, just be warned, as I've said, you might well burst a hernia or something with this one. I don't think this series needs much introduction. You can buy the Mega Pack of Total War for 75% off. That brings it to a pretty damn respectable £8.24. That gives you pretty much all the ones you can see here, including the Romes, Empires, Napoleons, and, well, everything else under the sun. This is a pretty damn good price. This series, of course, is extremely well received, particularly a few of them, and generally speaking, most people are going to be quite positive. Personally, I've not checked this one out. I don't know how I've missed it, if I'm honest. I guess it's just one of those things where you can't play everything once again. Rome Total War and a few others are extremely well received. Definitely recommend checking this one out if you're an RTS fan. You can buy the games individually. If you are just interested in one or two pieces, for example, you already own a couple of them and you're just missing, say, the latest one, then that's completely possible. All of them are 75% off, I believe. He says, scrolling down, yep, they are indeed all 75% off. Prices range, however, from the packs quite immensely. So, generally, however, they're around £1.49. I'm sorry. However, there are a few, such as the Empire Total War Elite Units of the East, for example, that is 49 pence, which is fairly cheap. However, it's not exactly going to add tons to the game, as you can imagine. It's up to you on that one. I think if you've not already played it, now is the perfect time to do so. So go ahead and check it out. Next up is a pretty damn great deal on S.t.a.l.k.e.r Noire from, of course, Rockstar. It's 75% off, once again, for £4.99. Once again, I'm going for the pounds version. I don't know what that is in dollars. You can also pick up the S.t.a.l.k.e.r Noire Complete Edition, which includes all the DLC. This is actually a really good deal. It's £6.24. You can also pick up the Rockstar Collection, by the way, which is $39.99 and offers you tons of crap, including Max Payne 3. It's actually a really good deal, might I add, considering it does contain a Max Payne 3. You can also pick up the S.t.a.l.k.e.r Noire DLC on its own for £2.24, which adds a little bit more than if you were to buy it if you hadn't, bought both already. So I know you're saving a little bit of money, of course, buying the pack. The DLC, however, it's a perfect time to buy it. I already, for example, owned Batman Arkham City, and I just picked the DLC up really cheap. So I'm quite happy, actually. I was going to buy that the other day, just before the stuff started, so I'm quite relieved I didn't. Anyway, that's beside the point. This is, of course, a crime game with a difference. You're basically in the exact opposite role of GTA, in that you're actually trying to prevent crimes and solve crimes, and you have to question people and go forth like that. There is some people who dislike this game because they feel it's a bit stiff and a bit rigid in terms of the structure and the way the storyline is told. Generally speaking, however, the voice acting and the overall quality, of course, of the writing and everything else you'd expect is up to the usual standards that you'd expect from the developer. However, once again, you can't go around just randomly mowing over civilians and so on. So if you're expecting it to be another Grand Theft Auto, you're going to be a bit SOL. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it. So yeah, this one is definitely worth checking out for the price. You might not like it, you might like it a lot. There is, I believe, a video. I'm pretty sure I did cover this one in a first impressions review, just for the PC version, so you can get an idea of how it plays and how it looks and so on a high-spec rig. So definitely check it out if you're interested. So we can move on now, swiftly. As they say, there's always one that doesn't want to follow the tradition that's set by the rest, and Sins of S.t.a.l.k.e.r is the only game actually here that's not 75% off today. It's 25% off, which brings it down to £18.74. This is a very good game for those who are into space and strategy. I have done a fairly lengthy video or two actually on this one, so I'd highly recommend checking it out if you've not already seen it. It's very critically acclaimed, and let me assure you, it looks beautiful in certain areas. It is, however, highly complicated, so if you're just looking to jump in, you are not going to be able to do so. If you're just looking for a quick blast for 5 minutes, this is not going to be for you. It features heavily with ship specifications, economy, and everything else. This is not one of those RTS games where everything's just built to a certain spec and you're given just a certain finite amount of resources, you are literally in control of an empire, and you are expected to build and expand upon that empire, and everything will be neat and tidy with that empire. It's actually a very good game. I'd highly recommend you check out the video. It looks beautiful, the audio is nice as well. The specifications for running the game, you're probably gonna, for the larger battles, that kind of thing, you're probably going to want a decent CPU. This is going to be heavily CPU dependent when you've got 1 trillion units on screen. I of course exaggerate slightly, but not by much, because of course at the end of the day you're looking at an actual galaxy. So once again, things could chug a little bit if you have a lower spec rig. But this, however said, this game is definitely worth checking out. I'd highly recommend it to anyone who's a space kind of fan. It looks very good and plays very well. Very good game. Can't recommend this highly enough. It is quite expensive, however, in the sale, but that's because it's selling pretty damn well even outside of the sale. And also, it's not that old. It was only released in mid-June, I believe. That's from memory. So, definitely worth checking out. For just under £20. It's not a terrible deal. You're probably not going to see it cheaper anytime soon, unless maybe it's from somewhere else outside of Steam. If someone knows of a place that's cheaper, please feel, of course, free to drop a link in the comments. And everyone, aside from myself, of course, since I already own it, will be extremely happy. Moving on. Next up is the Carp Foulger collection. I've probably pronounced that wrong. To be honest, I've not really heard of this series. I've done some googling for you guys, and I'll go ahead and tell you about it in a second. 75% off, that brings it to £8, not bad I suppose considering you get free games, but that is until you hear about the games. Most people don't like them that well. The scores are somewhat iffy on them. You might want to check this one out before you buy it. I haven't personally covered it, so I can't recommend one of our own videos, so I'd at the very least suggest going to the Google, and I would suggest typing in the search. So go ahead and actually check this one out before you buy it. There's probably, at the very least, you want to check out some gameplay videos, preferably as well a couple of your favourite review sites. Obviously, I don't want to mention any particular ones because everyone has their own favourite review sites, and most people tend to go to sites that, of course, they favour, and the reason, of course, you favour that is because that site generally appeals to your tastes. So go to your favourite websites and do a little bit of checking. Once again, Metacritic and a few other places I've checked don't look too favourably on this, but I can't personally comment because, once again, I have not played them, so it's unfair for me to judge. I can, however, of course, just give you the prices. So, finally, next up are the flash deals. There are a few that are really worth mentioning. There is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit on the Community's Choice, but that's going to be ending relatively soon for me. There is s.t.a.l.k.e.r, which is not a bad price, £7.49. Pretty damn good game. It's not quite Grand Theft Auto in terms of storytelling, but it's very fun. Bastion actually is one of the more fun RPGs that you can play. It's more action RPG orientated, with a commentator who actually narrates based upon what you're actually doing on screen. So what he says basically changes upon it, and the graphics are very impressive as well as the animation and so on. Definitely worth checking out. Dead Space 2, one of my favourite games actually, of recent memory anyway. I know some people wrongly say this is not horror, but it's not actually about the horror in Dead Space. Although it is horror and it does kind of have some scary moments, it's actually about the storyline as quite a bit as well, and it's actually extremely well told. It's a very cinematic experience, and there are certain times you just don't want to go ahead and go into certain areas as well. I do really like Dead Space, and including the animes, which if you've not seen, I would highly recommend you check them out. Next up is a Binding of Isaac, and for the price, that's 75% off, by the way, for 99p if you're in the UK. It's a very good price. However, the deal's going to be ending in about 3.5 hours, so there's a good chance it won't be available or once you're looking at this video. With that said, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this speed reeling of games, and I will see you tomorrow. Of course, the sale only has a few days remaining on it, so probably on Saturday I will sit my ass down and I will go through all the really good deals, and I will tell you about any of the packs and so on. so you can get an idea of what is actually shiny and what is not shiny, and you can figure out, you know, good ways to save yourself a bit of cash, assuming you have any cash left by the end of the sale. So with that said, take care of yourselves, guys. Bye for now, and remember to head on to redgamingtech.com for more details on the deals and so on. And if you could subscribe or, you know, like this video, that would be highly appreciated. Bye for now, and take care of yourselves.